Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to present this diverse panel of local entrepreneurs to share their insights on how they have partnered and collaborated to grow stronger together. My name is Sarah Bentham, and I'm the director of the Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center. I'm joined by my amazing colleague, Jenna Green, who many of you will know, and she'll be closing out this event and sharing other exciting future opportunities to connect. The Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center, which we call HBEC, is at Georgian College, and we support students and entrepreneurs across Central Ontario with starting, scaling, and growing businesses. By providing mentorship across a large array of expertise in business, which is being offered virtually right now, business owners and startups can overcome challenges, attract investment, find funding, and network with the right folks who will help them to take their business further faster. Now in its 6th year of operation, the HBEC has won 2 global awards and provides resources for hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs each year. If you're a business owner or you know one that might want to access this type of support, please visit our website and follow us on social media at the links which we will list below. I'm proud at this time to share the Indigenous land acknowledgement. The Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center acknowledges that all of our events are situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. The format of today brings us a group of entrepreneurs and experts who will speak to how collaboration and partnership has strengthened their business and how they went about forging these relationships as it pertains to their experience in industry. Each panelist or group of panelists will have 5 minutes to share with our expert moderator, Michelle Newton of Convo Media, who's also a Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center mentor, and there will be 5 minutes for question and answer. For those joining us by Zoom today, please send in your questions through the Q&A button below. At this time, we're asking our guests to refrain from using the chat feature here on Zoom. And I'm proud to introduce Michelle Newton. Michelle Newton focuses on public relations and communications, branding, and collaborations. One of 4 directors of Convo Media, Michelle is an entrepreneur providing public relations and communications consulting to both large and small clients. She has over 25 years professional experience across different industry sectors, including packaged goods, beauty services, financial services, retail development, real estate, arts, entertainment, municipal government, and not-for-profit. Michelle is guided by what she describes as a better together philosophy, growing relationships, nurturing collaborations, and facilitating partnerships, especially those with a shared focus on strengthening our community. You are in good hands here with Michelle, and so I'm proud to turn it over to Michelle Newton, and thank you so much again for joining us.
Thanks for the introduction. I'm happy to be here. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with the idea that hopefully you'll come away with some idea of different collaborations, different partnerships that these panelists are doing and have been doing, and maybe look at how it can work in your business. I'd like to start out by introducing Anthony de Gasperius. He's co-founder of Talus Creative. From a shared interest in branding, graphic design, and web development, with the passion for problem solving and helping businesses achieve goals, Anthony and his brother-in-law, Ryan Duncan, co-founded the strategic design consultancy called Talus Creative in 2018. Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. So thanks for the introduction and the bio. I mean, you kind of summed up everything out there. So as she said, I'm co-founder of Talus Creative. We're a strategic design consultancy. So we work with businesses to try to help them achieve their goals and solve bigger business challenges through creative industry. So with kind of our internal strengths, we kind of focus a lot more on design and web. But with that said, we also do a lot of collaboration with other people within our industry in order to achieve the goal the clients are trying to work with. So anything from, we collaborate with videographers, photographers, marketers, everything like that, because, we understand that we're experts in what we do, but we're not experts in everything. So we want to bring in the experts that can do the things that they need to do so that we can kind of get that ultimate result for everybody. So that's kind of always been our philosophy. And even with our partnership coming together, we've kind of learned that, again, we can't do everything on our own. So we kind of want to be stronger together and bring in whoever can do what needs to be done. So it's kind of a little bit about Talus. So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to go a bit more into my story, I guess. So,
like that,
so I kind of come from I come from the web programming background, but kind of started going off on my own about 2015, end of 2015. Both Ryan and I actually were kind of given an opportunity to work with a mental health organization down in Toronto called Sick Not Weak. And with that, we kind of took that as our leap to jump into going on our own and being on and working with other people. Through that process, we kind of, again, learned a little bit more about the collaboration, because not just working with graphic design and web and bringing ourselves together, but working with other marketers, other project managers, other programmers and things like that to really kind of strengthen what Sick Not Weak was and kind of bring that final product together. So through that, learning those sorts of things coming forward has really just influenced us in terms of how we want to move forward with collaboration and understanding that, again, bringing in experts to do those certain things is extremely important than rather trying to do everything on our own.
So it reminds me of how you and I met when we had been on a different webinar, and then you reached out to me through the idea of collaborating potentially in the future with Convo Media. So when you're looking to partner with somebody, what are you looking for there? What synergies?
We really like people that are strategic minded. So everything that we kind of do takes a lot of strategy and a lot of thorough thought process. So Ryan and I both are very strategic, very thorough. We try to think everything out, every single possibility that we could come across for our client when we're trying to build out our end products. So we like to work with a lot of people like that, that kind of think the same way and understand that our industry is so fluid and there's so many moving parts that we do have to kind of account for as many different things as possible, but also still trying to keep things within that straight line that we can, within the control that we have.
So it must be an interesting approach when you're meeting a client, yourself and Ryan. When does your brain start thinking about collaborators that can jump in to help?
Right, pretty much through kind of our discovery meetings with our clients. As we start kind of discovering with them and talking with them, we can get a better idea of what services they really need. They may come to us for, a website or marketing package or something like that. And through our discovery with them, we might actually end up realizing that they need something else. And if they need something else that's not necessarily in our internal skill strength, that's when we start realizing, okay, we need to collaborate. We need to start bringing other people in and kind of work from there. And then we try to figure out with our partners, which people are going to be the best fit for these particular clients.
So when you're partnering, do you kind of do it under the Talus label, or do you really identify who those partners are? Or what would be the situation you'd use either?
It probably depends on the partner. So every situation is a little different, but we can do anything from kind of white label work to literally, showing that partnership with other businesses. It really depends. I mean, partnering also even means working with people that we're outsourcing and bringing, freelancers in and things like that. So that might be where, a white label agreement might work. But in other instances, we might want to actually go in on a partnership with another business. So it's really dependent, but we always try to kind of be flexible with what our collaboration or our partner wants to do as well. So we try to work together with that.
Do you have a favorite one that you could share?
Not really off the top of my head. I think we like working with a lot of photographers. So Nat Caron, Laura Joy Photography are great partners for us as well.
And how did you find them in this sea of photographers out there?
Honestly, just being in the industry, being around, kind of meeting them at networking events and things like that. I know Ryan met Nat Caron years ago, and then actually met Laura through that as well. So a little bit of that kind of just meeting people through networking.
One of the things I wanted to mention as well, just having gotten to know you recently, is it seems to me that part of that partnering and collaborating is even as simple as sharing resources. I know you pointed me towards a couple of resources that you really look to, and I've since been following them. I don't know if you could speak to a little bit of the value of that.
Yeah, so we kind of have a philosophy as kind of like exactly what this talk is about. We're stronger together. So if we can kind of educate each other within our industry and bring the industry up and collaborate, it's kind of that perspective of the collaboration is the new competition. So if we work together to bring the market up, the market as a whole will do better together. So we might as well share resources and work together and learn from each other.
I love that language. Well, good news. We have a couple of questions that have come in. The first one is, how does collaboration play a role in the future growth plans of your company?
I think it kind of plays a role into this strategic design consultancy that we're moving towards. So we started off as a branding agency, web agency, design agency, one of those things that you want to call it. When we moved into the strategic design consultancy. So by kind of taking the approach of understanding clients' business goals and the challenges they're solving and working with other partners and collaboration projects, we can help clients reach the goals that they're trying to get to. So overall, the collaboration process has actually kind of transformed where we're moving our business towards.
Interesting. So that sort of switch, do you think that started, and this is a question that's come up, is asking a little bit more about the strong, not weak. I hope I've got that correct. Tell us a bit about how that partnership shaped where you've headed with Talus.
So that was kind of an interesting project. So that was the first project where Ryan and I actually started working together. So obviously him being my brother-in-law, I've known him for years, but we worked at different agencies. So that process was a lot of us kind of learning how to work together and bringing that in. And then also kind of learning how to work with people that were outside of our organization, outside of our office. We're so used to being at our old offices where you're intermingling with your colleagues within the same space, that now we're trying to work a little bit more virtual with other people that we've never worked with before. So that whole process kind of changed things a little bit in terms of our perspective. And then even just understanding the difference between, how private industry works versus how nonprofit industry works, really kind of made a difference on terms of how we want to kind of manage projects like that, and how kind of those sorts of groups work together. So one thing we learned from the not-for-profit sector, it's a very collaborative decision-making process. So that in itself, there's a lot of back and forth with different people within the organization to really kind of come down to that decision.
Yeah, it must have really shaped how you can kind of look forward, and maybe opened up some thinking about collaborations you wouldn't have looked at before. Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of little pieces. We had developers literally from around the world kind of working on it. That we were working with, and it kind of just opened our eyes to different skill sets. I mean, even within the development that we were doing, there was different skill sets brought in. So I learned a lot from the other guys that I was working with and the other guys that we were working with as well to kind of learn that. So again, learning from each other is only going to enhance our skill set together.
So a question, what piece of advice would you give, an entrepreneur or a small business that's not collaborating or partnering yet to make that leap?
Analyze yourself. So analyze your strengths, analyze your weaknesses, figure out the things that you want your business to do and where you want to go. Once you kind of self-reflect on yourself, you can kind of get a better idea of whether, you can manage everything and do everything, or if it's time to start bringing people in that you can partner with or collaborate with to kind of offload, whether it's offloading work or literally bringing in other skill sets to help you achieve what you're trying to do.
That sounds a bit like something called finding your why.
Exactly.
I know that's something that you're really passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything that Simon Sinek has to offer. So finding your why, figuring out, why you want to be in business, why you started your company in the first place, and letting that passion drive you for everything that you do. And then even bringing in collaborators that you want to work with, that they share the same values and purpose that you do. Is only going to make things so much better and easier for you in that collaboration process.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And I think that's a wonderful way to wrap that up, is that sharedness, being similar and having like minds really helps move things forward. Thank you so much, Justin. Anthony, yeah, sorry, I got myself one ahead of myself.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That brings me to introduce Justin Fernett, co-founder of Hey Local. Justin's strong background in large software systems at BlackBerry and with ERP while at Magnetic Forensics allowed him to co-found both Hey Local and a company that connects local consumer to the local retailer, and also co-found Him and Her, a world-class Waterloo region-based creative agency. So Justin, welcome.
Thanks, Michelle. It's great to be here, and thanks for everybody's time. To give everybody a little bit of background on Hey Local, if you haven't heard of it yet, we are a Canadian marketplace that gives local businesses selling online the tool they need to find more local business, local consumers. And it really started about 3 months ago when one of our co-founders went to buy bed sheets online, spent 45 minutes trying to find a local business that he could buy from, couldn't, and ordered from Amazon. And it made him sick because during COVID, especially, our small businesses need support. They're the lifeblood of our community. They're the ones who sponsor our local baseball teams, make our downtowns the thriving places we all want to go to. And so we asked the question, why can't a similar tool with the same ease and convenience as Amazon be created but built for local businesses? And so we took our experience running an agency, and we work a lot with Shopify and e-commerce, and we realized that, hey, there's nothing stopping us from putting together that e-commerce marketplace. We wrote a Shopify plugin that takes 5 minutes to install, and it pulls all of your products into the Hey Local marketplace. And over the coming weeks, we'll be adding support for many other platforms. And for the consumer side of things, it's a really great tool because right now it's hard to find these businesses. If you've just launched your e-commerce store or you already have e-commerce, you maybe don't have the expertise in search engine, so people finding you on Google. You might not have the funds or the means to run Facebook advertising. So even though you have an e-commerce site, people can't find you. And Hey Local allows you to pick your location and search a 50-kilometer radius around you, or expand to 100 kilometers to find businesses you can shop from.
I was looking at the website and really getting a sense, it's almost like a collective or a network in a sense, because individually you might not find them, but now that everyone's grouped under this label of Hey Local, it becomes way easier to find people who are providing these products in your community, for pickup, for delivery, all of those type of things. I love that it was influenced by the pandemic in some sense, but how will this collaborative nature keep going once there's a return to a non-pandemic state?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like our vision started as a COVID solution, but has long-term vision and also national vision. So that's a couple of benefits we see in the platform is that, everybody's seen us shop local like KW or, BIAs that maybe are trying to put up solutions. These organizations aren't experts in e-commerce, one, and everybody's busy, both the business and the consumer. So we really need a unanimous effort of all businesses to stand up and list themselves in a place that is affordable, which is a great point because we've made it our mission that the first 50,000 businesses that register get a free lifetime base subscription through to the end of 2020. And it collaborates in many ways with the BIAs and the chambers and the Henry Burns Center, like we are today, to reach the Barrie community in our Waterloo region. We're connected with the chambers and the BIAs because those are some organizations that, just like us, care about the small businesses in the towns, and that's our primary way to communicate with you guys.
I remember a note that was made that you also have sort of inputting back into the community from this initiative. I think you mentioned something about the why.
Yes, so in Barrie particularly, every business that signs up for Hey Local, HIP Developments, one of our partners is the president of HIP Developments, is going to donate $10 to the new YMCA up to a maximum of $15,000. And those small little initiatives are what we're going to focus on as we expand to new cities.
Is that sort of collaboration and giving back to something that's part of your DNA?
Yes, absolutely. In the founding of Hey Local and in running our other business, Him and Her, it's been a core tenet that the communities we're in, the people we work with, that's who truly matters to us. It's who really builds our communities. The big software giants like Amazon that own 50% of online sales now, they just give us distribution centers. They don't give us jobs or invest back in our communities.
So how has Hey Local been working? Is it successful? Is it on the upswing?
Yep. So it's been a really great launch so far. So it's evolving every day. We're connecting with more partners every day. a primary role for us is to onboard as many businesses as possible. And so we're doing that in our collaborations with the BIA and the chambers. But we're also looking to speed up business onboarding by automatically adding businesses to the Hey Local marketplace in the coming weeks, which is an exciting initiative we're after, because then now that there's, hundreds of businesses on the site, the consumer will find it a useful tool to check before they go to Amazon. And then we'll follow up with businesses on how they can register and manage their products better.
Great. Well, we have a couple of questions that have come in. The first one is, do you have tips for working with virtual contractors?
Tips for working with virtual contractors. I think communication in anything is key. So once you've validated and done your research that a contractor has the experience, maybe has great recommendations from other people who have used them, then upfront communication, whether we're working with a freelancer or another agency, having a brief that's descriptive in what you're asking for, clear deadlines, and then checking in to make sure you don't go 3 weeks and have wasted a bunch of time when you could have talked to one another.
Yeah, sometimes the art of just a conversation is a little bit lost.
Yep.
Interesting. So here's a second question, is talking a little bit about the idea of, will there be a time frame that you're going to have services versus products featured on Hey Local? Is it in your plan?
Yep. So services is in our plan. I would say that that's probably 3 months out, if we're being realistic, as we finish up support for e-commerce for all other platforms, improvements to the platform, we'll then switch over and roll into service-based business listings.
So is that driven out of just, you see the opportunity, or there's a demand that you've noticed?
That's definitely been a demand. Almost every BIA chamber business owner who hears about Hey Local, they really do love the site, love the mission, and they run a service business. And so they ask us, hey, how do I get on Hey Local?
So businesses locally, you're helping them reach larger markets and audiences. So do you have a plan to do it Canada-wide? I think you mentioned something about that.
Yeah, so Waterloo Region, Guelph, and Barrie is our initial launch. We're in negotiations with Montreal and their SDCs, which is the same thing as the BIA that we know, and then we'll expand through to the rest of Canada. And what's great about the site is you can change your location. So instead of just if you live in Kitchener or if you live in Barrie, instead of searching there, let's say you've got a close friend that lives in Vancouver, you can set your location to Vancouver, search a local business near them, and purchase something for them, which is really great for tourism.
I was just going to say, that sounds like a thing that you could use if you're visiting, as much as people who live in a community could use. I think sometimes you don't know what's in your in your backyard until a product or service like Hey Local comes.
Absolutely. In our own community, we know so many of the businesses, and yet I still find new businesses I had no idea were in our backyard.
Yeah, certainly just thinking about the Barrie area, I know that there have been so many more businesses that have had to go online with the pandemic, and then it becomes a question of nobody necessarily knew about them. So I'd love to see Hey Local get really a lot of the smaller communities involved in this so people can really support at home.
Definitely. It's ready to scale. If a business signs up, then that neighborhood and that city turns on.
So you mentioned, just in closing up, talking a bit about the automation piece where you're going to start automatically adding businesses. How will that work? Will it just pick, right now it's businesses with products. How will it work?
Yeah, so we've created a tool that's going to look for local websites and businesses. It's going to scan their website, see if they have products for sale. We'll automatically add those products or a subset of those products to the site, and then we'll email the business owner, let them know they're on Hey Local, let them know they have the option to upgrade to the free Shopify plan, an app that you can install, or the dedicated account, or if you'd like to be taken off, you can be taken off from the marketplace as well.
Interesting. I wonder why someone would want to be taken off. You never know. But it certainly, to me, that also feels very much about growing stronger together by your taking it onto yourself to add the businesses and then letting them know it's happened. I think that's very community minded.
Yeah, it's definitely more work, but we think it's helpful. Like these businesses are stressed out. They're working overtime. So even to take 5 minutes to install another plugin still takes effort out of their day. And so if we can ease some of that effort and bring them value, then that's important to us.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing. It's inspiring, and certainly to any of the businesses that are listening out there, products and hopefully soon services, to check out Hey Local.
Thanks,
Get
Michelle.
listed. Next, we have Brian Shelley, Vice President of the YMCA of Simcoe Muskoka, joining us. Brian's a member of the senior leadership team at the Y. It's a registered charity committed to building healthy communities and inspiring people to reach their full potential. Brian is a graduate of Queen's University and lives in Barrie with his wife, Micah, and their 2 young boys. Welcome to the conversation.
How are you doing today, Michelle?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
I'd love to hear what the Y partnerships have been looking like, especially during the pandemic.
Sure, yeah. And so I'll be bringing a different perspective today, speaking on behalf of a not-for-profit charitable organization. I'm going to give 3 examples, one which is proactive, looking to the future, but then 2 that have been in response to COVID-19 and other crises kind of existing in our world today. But proactively, as we look to build a new YMCA in Barrie, this will be a different kind of YMCA. So this will no longer be, the standalone YMCA that we would have seen before. This will be a true collaboration where we have space for not just multiple YMCA programs like childcare and youth services alongside health and fitness, but also medical partnerships. So partnerships with RVH around cancer rehab and cardiac rehab, as well as partnerships with the Youth Haven for their transitional housing. And the idea there really is that if we look at the impact that we can have as organizations, we can do so much more for our communities when we work together with shared space and shared resource than we can on our own. The 2 examples that I want to give that are a bit more reactive would be, I mentioned COVID-19. When YMCAs across the country were forced to close their doors in March of this year, there was a need to quickly ramp up a virtual solution to serve the thousands of people that we serve across Canada. Now, for years, there had been talk about creating a virtual Y, and there really wasn't a lift. There wasn't, there was too much turf protection. But when push came to shove and we needed something to go live, in 4 days, YMCAs across the country launched YMCA at Home, which was a virtual program or virtual platform that had health and fitness programs, phys ed classes for children, children's and family activities. We launched a camp side of it. We also launched a personal wellness program. And so that launched in 4 days. And as of this week, it's actually surpassed YUSA, which has been around for 7 years, with over 500,000 views of the videos and the programs on that site. That doesn't happen without collaboration and without people actually letting down their guard and letting others lead and pitching in where they can support. Our YMCA, our main role that we played was around video production. We didn't create very much content, but almost 50% of the videos that went up on that site were actually produced back of house in our offices here in Barrie. The other example I wanted to give was around Black Lives Matter. And so when this came to prevalence over the last few months as a call to action for organizations to make change in their community, the YMCA, as an organization that values inclusion, knew that we wanted to do more. We also knew that it wasn't necessarily our place to lead, and it was a place for us to support. So we worked with Making Change Simcoe County and with the Barrie Community Foundation to support the Uplift Black Youth Project. And again, this wasn't a role for the YMCA to be the leader. This was a chance for the YMCA to take a step back and provide a supporting role that has had an incredible impact in reaching out to young Black youth who are feeling disconnected and anxious at home, especially during the pandemic of what's happening across North America. And again, I think these are 3 examples of how by doing things differently and collaborating, we're able to have a greater impact on the communities we serve.
Thank you for sharing those. I mean, they're very impactful. Definitely, I'm intrigued by the idea of the online fitness programming and a lot of that work being done in the back end here. It's quite, it's just a sense that, is that more of what you're going to look for in the future? Those type of collaborations, rather than every Y trying to get video production in their head office across it's not good for resource.
No, I think it's been a real eye-opener for everyone across the YMCA network across the country. And I'm assuming if in lots of networks across the country and across North America, that we can do so much more when we work together and when we give up a little bit of control, the impact we can have and the product that we can produce is just so much greater. So
what's the key to giving up that control? If you had to give somebody a pointer?
Yeah, I mean, a global pandemic helps, but hopefully it doesn't take that. I mean, really, what you hope now is that you have the evidence. Right now, we're able to show, and we were able to move quickly on some other collaborations across the country because of the success of YMCA at Home. Because we were able to show that, you know, when we did work together on something, in less than a week, we launched something that ended up being huge, and had a huge impact on the people that we're serving.
So do you think that could be applied to, say, entrepreneurs, you know, looking at, you know, offering, I think it reminds me a little bit of what Anthony was speaking about. You know, we have these strengths and we know we also need these strengths. How would you transition it over?
I think through any, you know, there's obviously good partnerships and bad partnerships. And I think that we need to start shifting what we look at a good partnership being as it used to be, you know, is it a fair partnership or an equal partnership? I think it's actually about, does the partnership help create a better end product for the end user? And for our, you know, in our example, that would be the communities we serve. For a for-profit entity, it would be for the customer. But it's about, you know, through cost sharing, shared resource, and all the other benefits that come from true partnership, there really is one big winner, and that's your customer at the end of the day. And really, that's what we should all be striving to do.
So it's interesting to think about that, because I know, and of course we have a connection. I'm also involved with Making Change. It's just, you know, looking at the role that the Y took in helping facilitate that is very different than what people might have thought of in the past, you know. So did you have to navigate that as a leadership team, or how did you approach that?
Yeah, we did. So our role was really in accessing the funding and administrating the funding on behalf of Making Change and Uplift Black Youth, and so being, you know, the direct conduit with the Community Foundation. And there was the conversation that had to happen with our senior leadership team, and then eventually with our board of directors. But it was about aligning that project with our values. And with our mission as an organization, and understanding that it did not make sense for us to do this on our own, for us to do this as a separate project. The greatest impact we could have on the community we were serving was by taking on this administrative support role.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So really,
and I think it's impact, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really all comes down to your mission, your values, and what is the way that you can have. How do you live up to those every day?
And I think that's a statement as well that Anthony referenced, the idea of knowing what your why is. You know, do you have a sense of what happens if you don't factor that in? Have you had any experience in the collaboration having matching whys? I mean, or seeing that connection?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have ended up in partnerships where we've had to exit those partnerships because it wasn't having the desired impact we were hoping. And so I think that really, you know, to go back to your mission and your values and making sure there's alignment between all entities, that's probably actually that's probably the most important alignment you can have is from a mission perspective, is everyone trying to work towards a similar goal.
Yeah, taking a pause and having that moment to just know that it lines up before jumping in. Absolutely. Well, I know, speaking for Making Change, we're really grateful to be partnering with you, and it elevates all the work that we're doing here. Great. Thank you, Brian. We really appreciate your input there.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
He fell.
Whoa, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, Veer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Oh, you can drive, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
Take one for the team, buddy.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
Bill, Ted, enough of the delusions. Here's a real idea for you. Be role models to your daughters. Get real jobs.
Yeah!
When your wives suggested couples therapy, do you think this is what they had in mind?
Definitely. I mean, we're a couple of couples, right?
Through United Way, I did a self-esteem course, training for peer support, and now I volunteer. It's a lesson that comes from the nature of doing work with the United Way that gives me a new lease on my life.
So I'd like to welcome Brittany and Victoria, co-founders of Shiny Soul Creations. I'm going to ask you to just tell us quickly what your company is about.
Hi, I'm Victoria.
I'm Brittany.
And we're the co-founders of Shiny Soul Creations. We make gemstone jewelry that individuals connect to in a meaningful way. At the heart of our brand, we hope to inspire individuals to wear jewelry as a source of empowerment, encouraging them to set an intention with each creation worn.
Great. And I'd also like to introduce Crystal and Jillian, co-founders of Two Sisters Natural. Crystal?
Hi, I'm Crystal.
Tell us a bit about Two Sisters Natural.
Two Sisters Naturals handcrafts everyday natural bath, skincare, and home care products that are infused with essential oils in Midhurst, Ontario. Our products are all made in small batches using high-quality ingredients and eco-friendly packaging. And we strive to create solutions for your body and home using everyday ingredients you can read, understand, and trust.
So there's a reason I'm introducing these four women. It is because together they are founders of the Be Well Box. So Shiny Soul Creations and Two Sisters Natural grew inspired to collaborate and create a seasonal wellness box with carefully curated products centered around self-care. Now the Be Well Box is evolving as a unified brand. Well, I guess tell us why you decided to partner with each other. That's a great place to start.
Well, as two local berry brands, we're often working alongside each other. We quickly realized, we quickly realized that we were both targeting the same customers who were all pretty much interested in self-care and intentional living.
That's the short version. I think that you're also all friends.
Yeah, definitely. We also, there's so many like working parts within that, but we also realized that although our products were all vastly different, our customer base and our target market were nearly identical. And we had both had this vision to create a subscription box. So we figured while we were out having a nice little coffee together that we may as well have a joint collaboration. It would have the potential to turn into something special, not only for ourselves as creatives, but for our customers as well.
So I'm remembering a little bit about the Be Well Box, and it has sort of it's divided in 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So how do each of you as partners decide what goes in your third and what fills up the third?
It becomes based on the energy of the season. So we get together and we sort of say, what do we want people to really feel when they open up a fall box, for example? And so Shiny Soul Creations comes up with 3 products that we think best fits the theme of that. Two Sisters does the same thing. And then we really get together and say, what other collaborations can we outreach to other people in the community who can sort of come together and really give our customers that feeling of self-care, to slow down and to really take care of themselves. So each season is very different, and we're always, looking for new people to join the box. Yeah.
So what's the uptake been? It's now strong enough that it's become its own brand. So is all of your focus going to be on this collaboration going forward? Either of you can answer. Sure, Jillian, go ahead.
No, we still have like our own Two Sisters Naturals, and we are always creating new products for ourselves. But then when we do choose the Be Well boxes, we will make sometimes exclusive products or some of our regular products in exclusive scents just for those boxes. And it's the same with the Shiny Girls.
Great. Have you noticed anything in terms of efficiencies? So by partnering on that box, I think I remembered one of you mentioning, and I apologize, I'm not sure which one, that you had the idea to have a box independently and then realized that you were having a similar idea. Is that the story?
Yeah, that was one of the biggest visions, is that we realized that we could create something pretty special for our customers if we collaborated together there, because we realized that people didn't just want jewelry in a self-care box, or didn't just want bath products in a self-care box. And we really wouldn't have been able to create what we are able to offer our customers if we were just simply wholesaling from Two Sisters, or likewise if they were just wholesaling from us. And, you know, at first, sometimes you think, oh, I really want to, you know, we have this great idea and it would be so great to, you know, bring that forth just as an individual brand. But then you look at, you know, the potential that a collaboration can have, and you really say, what's my intention in doing this? Is my intention to really take it and run with it as an individual, or to grow together as a collective? Because ultimately we're here to be able to provide the best experience for our customers. And we really realized that we could do a better job at that, doing that together than alone.
Is there a part of that collaboration that is also focused on the fact that you're 4 women entrepreneurs?
Absolutely, there is. We're lucky that we can work together as a collaboration and a community. Like Barry's got a great community of women entrepreneurs. So that's definitely something that's important to us, that we can work together and not against each other, both be supportive of the collaboration we have together and of the businesses that we each have on our own. We're both part of the Accelerate Her, which is a local group of women entrepreneur community. We both take part in that, and they model the values of this, and it has definitely helped us pave the way and inspire us to join a partnership as a collaborative rather than solopreneurs.
Excellent. So now that you have this, where can we find your products?
So Two Sisters products are locally available in just a couple of the stores. Would be the Berry Olive Oils, Our House, Nicholin Farms, the Tiny Art Shack. We are in about 44 stores across Canada, so they are all listed on our website.
And are those kind of partnerships with those retailers?
Absolutely, yeah.
So when does this next box come out? I'm thinking I might have to sign up to get one.
Yeah, so fall's just around the corner. So our fall box is going to be released for sale actually 1 week today. So that's the 27th of August. And we're shipping them out starting September 10th. So you can go to our website, thebewellbox.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We'll, of course, send you notification. We'll put it on our social media. And if you do sign up and purchase a box in the fall, if you do our auto subscription, we actually give you 10% off of that. And then you never have to remember. It's just going to always keep coming to you.
It's interesting that you just triggered a question in my mind when you mentioned about the website. So between all of you, you have 3 websites. You know, you have 3 social media platforms. So you find that there's a division of labor in terms of working on the Be Well box. Does each of you take a piece or take a month, or how does it work?
I think we all have our own little creative specialties. Like one of us, like Victoria's really good at writing. I really like the design. Crystal's so great at like finding all these new products. Like everyone has like their own piece. And so when we work on our website together, I think that just, and girls, I feel like you might agree with it, you would agree with this, but it just naturally falls into place. Like we don't necessarily have like our specific hats on, but so it's really nice that it all kind of comes out naturally like that.
Mm-hmm. We did also have to pivot.
Go ahead.
We also did have to pivot. We originally had a Be Well different platform on each of our websites. So Shiny Soul Creations had a Be Well website, and then Two Sisters Naturals did, and we just realized that it would be much easier to create our own website for Be Well. Just gets a little complicated for your individual business when you're trying to merge them together. So we found for us and from our perspective, it was really easier to give Be Well its own name and platform.
Well, it's certainly a sign of an evolving collaboration and partnership when you move to that point. That's excellent. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing, and we look forward to this upcoming Be Well box.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Rochelle Lays. She's the Chief Sales Officer of Ferris Team. She's a member of the Ferris Team leadership team, and her role has been key to the team's success in selling well over 7,500 properties to date. She's also a communications graduate and former radio writer and producer with an extensive marketing and sales background. Welcome, Rochelle.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I unmuted.
Well, we'd love to hear a bit about some of the partnerships and collaborations going on now and have been around for a while with Ferris Team in the community.
You know, I was thinking about it while everyone was talking. I thought, what's the one key piece of advice I can think of when you're trying to build a successful partnership? And for me, I ran a lot of companies before I came to this team, and Mark has really showed that you really need to mirror your belief system. Whoever is going to be a partner with you, whether it be a vendor or a charity organization, you really have to mirror your belief system. So for us, our mission on our team, and everybody can say, you stop any one of our employees, they'll tell you what our mission is. And our mission is to go full out for our community. And if you ask them what our 6 foundational core values are, is love, on fire, excellence, innovation, growth, and wow. We follow all of those core values, and love being the main one. We really want to find charities and foundations and vendors that follow those same core values, because they're an extension of us. If we're recommending them to our clients, if we're there representing them for our charity, they need to follow those same core values. And we've been so fortunate. I get very emotional when I speak of it, because it means a lot to our team when we find those people that we kind of have a theme. It's food, shelter, and comfort, because that's what we do for a living. And so we wanted to find a theme around the charities that we partner with. And in order to truly make a difference, we had to choose certain partnerships. We couldn't donate to everyone. So we had to pick those that we could really make a difference with. And we have, in Aurelia, we have our different offices. So we choose to help those in that community that we sell our homes in. So we have Lighthouse Soup Kitchen and Shelter in Aurelia. Georgia, I got to remember them all. Georgian Bay General Hospital in Midland, My Sister's Place in Alliston, Collingwood General and Marine Hospital in Collingwood, of course. And in Barrie, we have the Senior Wish Association, RVH, and Barrie Food Bank. So what happens with last year, we sold over 1,000 homes. And for every sale, we donate $100 to the charity in that community. So whenever they buy or sell a home in that community, we give back to the community, because to me, that's the legacy we want to give. We want to continue building it. So not just during the sale or before the sale, but after the sale, that we continue making that difference in the community. And then we, of course, do the events. We build houses for Habitat for Humanity. I always like to joke that we can sell homes, but we can't build them. We've tried. And then we have the Barrie Food Bank, coldest night of the year in Aurelia. We also join, and I promise you, they do choose the coldest night of the year every time. And the Senior Wish Foundation and the Barrie Food Bank, which is the mac and cheese event that Joanna takes a big part in and helps organize that. So it's just really a collaboration of just all of our vendors and our sponsorships.
I know that having had a past connection with Ferris Team, that a lot of it runs really deep, as you mentioned, and certainly around that food insecurity piece, you know, having a focus on that right from the beginning has really aligned well with the business, but it wasn't intentional. It's just the way it was.
It just, you know what, it naturally gravitated. And we always found, and Mark and I had sat down one day and said, what makes the best people that work here? What makes us all so ingrained and rooted into our core values? And really, we refer people to the team. We bring other people onto the team. So we actually look for people that we want on our team. So resumes are great, and we of course found great people that way, but some of them we just bring on the team because we know they follow those core values, and knowing that person lives and breathes it at home, you know they're going to be that way at work. And it truly, I mean, I've worked for many businesses in Barrie, and I can honestly say it's as good as it looks from the outside. On the inside, we truly do care. So it's nice. It's fun to come to work.
I'd love to know a little bit more about the mac and cheese. And I bring that up only because I feel like that partnership / collaboration is really a different level than some partnerships and collaborations. I mean, organizations often sponsor things, you know, make a donation, but here you have Ferris Team actually organizing an event, and the benefactor of that event is the food bank.
Of course. Well, the food bank is one of our big charities that we do support, and they do so much good in the community. And if anybody's met Joanna Fair, she's very much a social butterfly. I like being in the background. Joanna likes being out there, and that's what she loves to do. And it's one of those things where, you know, it's easy to donate. It's easy to be part of a committee, and you show up for your 1 or 2 meetings for a charity. And she really does just jump right in there and helps organize that event. And if anyone's gone to the mac and cheese, fantastic mac and cheese, by the way. They have great guest speakers. Everything is really run well. And it's all in part, and Joanna plays a big part in that, because it's just, it's a sense of accomplishment. It's not like cutting a check. It's going home and feeling like you truly, truly, truly made a difference. And the mac and cheese event is one of those events that even when I'm there and I'm representing the team and our name's on the table, and, you know, we have priority seating because we do so much for this event, it's a sense of pride that you can't get just by cutting a check. It really isn't. And that's what I love. It's really cool. We put our money where our mouth is, and, you know, we get out there and do the best we can, and we try to give back as best we can. And the key for anyone growing a business and anyone trying to find sponsorship is, you know, be confident but humble, and never forget where you came from. Because if you continue to remember where you came from, you're always going to pay it forward. You're always going to do good, and people are going to know that you're being very sincere in what you do.
Great. Well, I'm going to put a call out to all of our participants and audience members. If you have any questions for Rochelle or any of the other panelists, we certainly love to have you join them in the Q&A. And, you know, it's just one of those things, I think, Rochelle, you're in an organization that's had a long-standing relationship with collaboration and partnerships, and thinking about people who might just be touching on that to start with. You know, I loved your advice to them, is just to make sure that it's really aligned with your why. You know, and I think that for me, this conversation today has been interesting for me personally, just because I believe that, you know, we can't be experts at everything. We really need to surround ourselves with people that complement what we do. And if you have that shared goal, that shared focus on, you know, social change or really making a difference in a certain area, you just feel that strength growing in that collaboration and partnership.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much. I know that we have a couple of minutes left. Was there anything else that you'd like to share in terms of anyone that you mentioned that you've had experience working with lots of different businesses? You know, is it hard to think of partnerships and collaborations when you're just a solopreneur? What can you give us for thoughts on that?
What was the question?
Just if you're a solopreneur, you know, affairs seems quite large, and, you know, that's a different entity in itself when you think about partnering. You know, how would you approach it if it's just you?
You know what? My mom started her own business all by herself in a town of 200 people near Windsor. And I watched her grow her business just by being her, just by being who she is and getting out there and being the true spirit that she is. And I mean, she's got more energy than all of us on this meeting combined. And it takes a lot of energy to build a business. And she didn't sleep for years. And I watched her, and she had so much fun. She just made sure she had fun while doing it. And to her, it wasn't a job. It was her legacy that she was passing on. So I've seen it from both ends. And Mark was the same thing. He did it by himself. He and Joanna were by himself, and he was a tool and die maker. So anything is possible. Sorry.
Not to worry. So I have a little bit of a related question. I mean, doing it by yourself can also rely a lot on networking and making connections. So here we are in COVID times. Do you have any suggestions on how we can make those stronger connections even though we're socially distanced?
Oh, Zoom all day long. And, you know, we have 60 people that are on Zoom. I host the team meetings on Tuesdays, and we want to see everyone's faces. We don't want the black screens. Just show us your face so we can still connect. And we found a way. I mean, COVID scared us because we weren't used to we're a team. We always sat side by side. Mark doesn't like an empty chair between us because we're just a very close team. And yet now we had to do it on a screen. And after a couple of weeks of just getting used to the idea, it just became second nature again. It's just like they're sitting in their living room. And we just got through it.
Great. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. I do have one more little quick question, and I realized I forgot to ask it of two sisters. Was the part where you entered your partnership and you used an agreement? I think that might be just one last key message to leave with, if either of you would be kind enough to speak to that. You know, partnering and collaborating is great, but what about some type of memorandum of understanding to make it a bit more solid? Victoria, I think that's you. I think we may have lost Victoria.
Well, with our partnership, we actually we reached out to HBEC and we set up a meeting with a mentor to help us kind of go through the guidelines of that.
So Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center,
yes.
You went there. Great.
Yep. And so that's great just to have all of our ducks in a row. But we were saying it's like really difficult because we're also like a group of friends. So at the beginning, we're like, oh, do we really need a partnership agreement? Like we're pretty agreeable and, you know, we work through everything together. But I think it's really important to have that as like the foundation before going forward in the business.
Yeah. And it's great that you could go and get some resources locally and have some mentoring on how do you shape that.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to thank all of you for sharing your experiences today. It's just been really enlightening, and all of us come from such different places and have such unique and interesting partnerships and collaborations that there's, I hope, some new takes on collaborations that our audience can take away. And maybe we're leaving you with some thoughts and ideas on how you might use these to move your own business forward, really growing stronger together. Thanks to Henry Bernick Entrepreneurship Center for having me host this today. So I'm Michelle Newton, signing over to you, Jenna.
Alrighty, thank you, Michelle, and thank you to all of our panelists. I got many great tips that I'll certainly apply when working. And I want to say thank you to Rogers TV for being with us today, and they will be broadcasting this panel discussion on their channel. And if you did miss our previous Iced Coffee Talk, you can find it on their website, which I will put into the chat below. So thank you to Rogers, and stay tuned as today's talk will be available very shortly. Our coffee talks are going to continue in the fall. Stay tuned as we announce how often they're going to occur and the topics that we'll be covering. It can be found on our website or on our social media channels at GCHBEC. Again, I'll put it in the chat below. And one last thing that I'd love to share with the community that's on this phone call today is we have a large business summit coming up in this fall. It's called the Accelerate Summit. So it's Central Ontario's premier business event. This year is online, and the summit has been extended to 4 days. The summit will begin on October 20th and will run to the 24th. Please visit the website and follow the social channels as we are in the process of announcing our keynote speakers. There'll be workshops, there'll be expert classes, experiences, amazing swag bags, so stay tuned. All that information is in the chat below, but thank you everyone for attending and joining us today, and we look forward to connecting again in the fall, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.